as you can see from the background, we are in my new studio. Basically what we did was, this used to be a bedroom and my studio used to be in the front department, and we basically did a room swap so that my studio is now at the back of the house, which is quieter during the day, which is when I film the most, and we sleep at the front of the apartment, which is quieter at night. So all in all, it has worked out really well. The only thing I've got left to do is give this room a once over with a nice calming colour that is more suitable for a studio. Anyway, we are almost halfway through the Daniel Smith Colour Showdown and you guys have been absolutely amazing. It was great fun to make and I learned a lot, but I learned so much more from what you guys have been writing in the comments. So if you have watched the videos but not read the comments, I highly recommend going back and reading the comments, because it's just chock full of information, because you guys, the viewers, know way more about watercolour than I do, and yeah, it's just full of knowledge from different artists on how they use those colours for their particular way of painting. So go back and read those because they're so useful. Anyways, I thought because we're halfway through the season, it'd be a great time to take a little break and do the answering sessions to all the questions you've been sending in for my 1000 subscriber giveaway. I have to confess, when I uploaded the video, I was really worried. Like, I was like, okay, I'm uploading this video and what if I get like 3 questions? That's gonna be like bad. I didn't have to worry because you guys are amazing. You guys are just like fantastic. We have 160 questions. Wow. Like, I never ever expected to get more than like 10. So thank you so much for your questions. I love your support. You guys are fantastic and fabulous. Now, some of the questions are like quite similar, so I've grouped them into like one question, and some of them kind of, I feel like they deserve a much longer, proper, more structured answer than me just riffing off answers. So what I'm gonna do is not address them in this video, but if you don't see your question, it's probably because your question is in the pipeline to become a bigger, longer video. I have read all the questions and I'm here to answer all the questions, but it might not appear in this particular video, but I promise it will appear sometime later in this channel. So let's get started with the questions and then I can reveal who the winner is for the giveaway. So first question is, what is your favorite brushes in your collection? And so I've described a handful of brushes I like to use and I'll just go through them very quickly. Maybe this can become a video where I can go into more details, but mostly I like to use the ProArt ProLink Plus series because they're quite affordable here in the UK, because it's a UK brand. It's a synthetic brush set for watercolors. It's not good for point and detail work, so do not go out and buy these brushes if you're like illustrator and need details. These are way better for big strokes and loose paintings, but for me they really work because they're affordable. They last you a really long time and you can be really rough with them and they will put up with all the work you put them through. And I like really big brushes. This isn't even the biggest brushes I have. This is 1.5 inches and I go up to 2 inches. This is a size 20, size 10, size 8. So these are my workhorse brushes. And then I have one singular Princeton brush in my collection that I have used, and this is a lovely brush. This is the Princeton Art 4050R series in size 5. I only have this one little Princeton brush in the forest of ProLink Plus brushes I have, but because these are so lovely, I think as the ProLink Plus brushes wear out, I'm going to replace these with the Princeton brushes if my finances allow it at the time. Question number 2 is, what is your favorite paper to work with? So before I go into papers, I have to explain that the way I work is that I produce large work, like full sheets work, and I paint several in one go, because the way I work is by creating lots of chances and then seeing what comes out. Sometimes I can paint up to like 14 in one go, And because I am not like a top selling artist or anything like that, I have to be practical and choose affordability over quality. So I use cheaper papers that are probably not ideal for people who do really detailed work. Like if you do detailed work and if you only paint small things and if you spend hours on each of them, then go for the nice paper. You deserve it. You know, we all deserve nice paper. But for me, because large work and many works, I have to be more practical. With that in mind, I have a two-tiered system for paper. One is for final pieces, which I usually use a Bockenford cold press paper, either in the 300 GSM or the 535. I love the 535. It's so thick. It's lovely. You don't have to tape it down or anything. It's great. And then I also use this, which is the Fabriana Academia, and it comes in a big block of 100 sheets and it's really affordable, and I use them for everything else, so sketching, planning, testing, swatching, anything like that. I just use that, and it's great because it means I don't have to worry about, you know, costing lots of money just to try a few things out. Question number 3 is, what is a watercolor brand that I haven't tried yet that I would want to? Actually, right now I am at a point where I'm actually quite happy with the watercolor paints I have, and I should, when I have all these lovely this many paints, and so I haven't got one yet. I'm sure that will change in time once I get really used to the brands that I do use and want to try new things. Next question is, what are the top 5 color paints you want to add to your collection but haven't yet? I think it would probably be the colors from Daniel Smith that I don't have yet, like the Luna ones from Daniel Smith, and also some of the Primatex, but not all. So yeah, are you a day or a night person? Now, I would have said I'm a day person, like until a few months ago when we got a hamster, and then if you know anything about having a hamster, they're nocturnal as anything. So I used to go to bed about 10, and now we easily go to bed at midnight. So the hamster is turning me into a night person, which I'm kind of struggling with because I still like to get up early in the morning. If you could be any animal at all, what would it be and why? Seals. Baby heart seals. They're so adorable. They're my favourite thing in the whole world. I have a whole collection of soft, cute, fluffy seals. I have one that is 28 years old and I love him to bits, and I just think fluffy baby seals are like little fairies and angels on ice. They're so cute. So yeah, seals. And I get to sit around and sleep all day, so I can't complain. Next question is, if you could go back and give your younger self one piece of artistic advice, what would it be? Ignore the bad teachers, I think. There are so many bad art teachers that really put people off art, and if I knew to just ignore them and like just walk away from them rather than go, oh, but you know, they're famous teachers and we should learn from them, blah blah. No, you don't have to. Art is a world of infinite possibilities, and you don't have to stick with bad teachers. Find the teachers that work for you, that are encouraging for you and makes you want to do art, and stick with them. Oh, and also forget the shoulds. Like, just if your sentence starts with I should do blah 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 in art, don't. You don't need to. Describe me your favorite picture painted by you when you were a child. I don't have any. I wasn't really a drawing child, and so I don't have a favorite drawing. However, I do have a piece of like a dry clay rose mangled mess of a brooch that I must have made like when I was in kindergarten or something, because it is awful. Like, it's just a mass of like red snakes dyed kind of thing. But my mother, I found it in my mother's desk top drawer right at the front, like as if it's like the most precious gem in the whole world. And so I think that will be my favorite piece of art that I made as a child, just because it clearly means so much to my mum to have that. It makes me realise that art isn't just about whether something's pretty or not, it also is about what it means. Can you tell us what your favourite music is? Yes, rock and heavy metal from the 90s and 2000s, but I also do like a bit of pop from that era as well. And so my playlist is really weird because I can have like really heavy metal music next to Bruno Mars. So yeah, I have a really eclectic taste in music. If you could only have a small number of watercolor paints, like 8, which would you choose? Now, I think I will make a video about this, but just to touch briefly, my philosophy in having compact palette is to have a split complementary palette with a CMY colors, which basically means a yellow, and you want 2 of those, a cool and a warm, a magenta ready color, a cool and a warm, and a cool and a warm blues. That just gives you the ability to create all the colors you want and in a very bright, clean way. After that, you can just add whatever colors you want depending on the situation. So if you want to do landscape, then probably add like a convenience green, like sap green, and like an earthy color. Or if you're just doing doodles on the go, then add a couple of your favorite colors. What is your favorite place in the UK? And I would have to say it's Edinburgh, because it's we moved to Edinburgh because we really love the city and we wanted to live in a city that we loved and enjoyed living in. So I would say Edinburgh is my favorite. Although in terms of art scenes, I much prefer Glasgow's art scene, just because they're like more grittier, like more bold art, whereas Edinburgh is very academical in their art approaches. I love living in Scotland in general because the landscapes are so beautiful and strong and brutal, and just every time I go into the Highlands it really touches me. I do like London to an extent. I lived in London for 6 years while I went to university, but not to live. Like, I enjoy popping in there for like a few days to see art exhibitions and stuff, but that's about it. My husband, the programmer, would like to know what subject of your research was before you switched into art. So for people who don't know this, I used to be a university lecturer before I went into art. In a completely different subject. It was in computer science, and I used to lecture in computer science and used to teach kids how to program and stuff. But my specialism was in human-computer interaction, which is basically usability, and that basically means how to make things easier for us to use. And so when I see things like website and software that are badly designed and just frustrates the user, that just mega frustrates me, because we can do much better than that just by educating our designers and programmers better. How long have I been painting with watercolors? And that is since October last year. So we are now in April, so almost 6 months? Yeah, 6 months. Next question is, when you don't want to paint or are uninspired yet still want to paint, what do you do to get some inspiration? For me, going into the studio and just playing with the paints, like get a scrap piece of paper and just dip a brush in paint, like no reason. Also, another one is to look at a class, a lesson, either on YouTube or elsewhere online, and that might inspire me to just try, like start small, and that normally gets me to a point where I'm like, oh, that is interesting, I want to make a bigger piece out of that. Next question is hard. What is your ultimate red, blue, green, orange, purple and earth colors? Only one of each. Okay, so red is easy, it's quinacridone rose. Green, I would say, I'm just looking at my palette. Green will be phthalo turquoise. Orange, I really don't like oranges. I'm sorry, I'm setting up my new palette and I'm really struggling to pick a orange color because I don't like any of them. Purple is, can I say rose of ultramarine? I think rose of ultramarine is beautiful, but very impractical in terms of mixing with other colours. Right, like this doesn't have to be a palette, right? And earth colours, okay, I don't classify this as a earth colour myself, but because it usually gets lumped in with the earth colours, I'm going to cheat and say quinacridone gold because that is a beautiful colour. Next question is, how long have I been painting? And I know I answered the question about watercolour painting, but before I started watercolour painting 6 months ago, for about 10 months, a year, I was doing acrylics. So in total, in terms of just painting in general, I would say about a year and a half. Next question is, what made you fall in love with watercolors? The luminosity, The brightness, the beautiful colors and the huge range of colors, but also like how we can watch color go into each other and meld and create new colors and textures and stuff, because that's what I'm mostly interested in art, is letting paints do their own thing and then, you know, trying to create a piece from them. Next question is, how do you best get into the painting zone? I find it so difficult to switch my brain off to get it to the point of where I just play with paints for the joy of it. My answer to this problem for me is to paint several paintings of the same stuff at the same time. So if I'm doing a painting session, I often have like 5, 6, 7, up to 14 paintings on the go happening at the same time, because then that gives you the space to just focus on what's working and ignore the stuff that isn't working. I like my art practice to be about focusing on what is working rather than, oh, that isn't working, I need to fix this and that, and you know, that is a negative space and I don't want to be in that space with my art. So by producing lots and lots of opportunities, it gets much easier to go, ooh, this is nice, I'm gonna work on this bit or this painting or these colors. So yeah, that's why I paint many paintings in one go, so I can just ignore the bad ones. Next question is, what is my favorite Miyazaki colors that I've tried? And my answer is I just think the violet grey is such a beautiful colour and a very surprising colour, because as if you saw my video when I recreated all my retired Holbein colours, I really don't like this colour, whereas I really like this colour. So it was a really nice surprise to me that a colour I really didn't like could be turned into something much nicer just by an addition of a little bit of another colour. Next question is, how did I get into art? And basically my husband and I went travelling around the world for about a year and a half on the road. It was 3 years in total, but a year and a half of that was spent in Japan, living with my mum on and off, like obviously because visas and stuff. But we were on the road for a year and a half traveling around, and wherever we went, whatever city, whatever country we went, we just kept ending up in art galleries and art museums. And I was like, I think I like art now. Before that I just wasn't into art at all. I got to a point of, okay, fine, I get the sign, I get, you know, I will explore this and see where it takes me, and that took me to becoming an artist myself. Next question is, what is your favorite brand of watercolor paint? And I have two. One is Holbein for its practicality in terms of how cheap it is in Japan, and then Daniel Smith for just how beautiful their paints are. To be honest, if I could afford to have just Daniel Smith, I probably would, but I can't because I live in the UK and Daniel Smith's paints are really expensive over here, whereas Holbein, I can get hold of them much cheaper when I'm in Japan. Like really cheap. Like it's ridiculous how cheap it is. It's cheaper than the cheapest student paints we have in the UK. So for practicality, and as I said, I paint a lot of paintings that are large, which means I go through an enormous amount of paint, so I have to take the practical options. And for like general workhorse colors, I use Holbein, and then for the fancier jazzier colors, I use Daniel Smith. Next question is, what got you started in painting with watercolors, and have you tried any other types of paint? Watercolors I avoided for a while because I saw lots of teachers going, oh, watercolor is really hard and it's really difficult and it's really easy to mess up, blah 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 blah. I was like, I don't understand how watercolor teachers that are supposed to be there to teach us how to paint watercolors are just like the prime, just go on about how difficult it is. I'm like, oh, come on, get over yourself. Seriously. It's fun, you know, art should be fun. It should be interesting. It should be joyful, not really, it's really hard. So I got thoroughly put off by that, and instead I found a acrylic painting teacher that I really like called Flora Bowley, who teaches intuitive painting with acrylic paint. And so I got into acrylic painting for about a year, but I just couldn't stay away from watercolor because I just find watercolor so beautiful, and the luminosity and how the paints melt into each other and stuff. What really got me into watercolor painting was I came across an article written by Flora Bowley actually, and she was saying how if you really want to find your artistic style, then paint 100 paintings and then paint 100 more. I thought, well, her teachings have worked for me so far, I'll give this go. You know, it's just a leap of faith. I'll trust her. She knows better than I do about finding style. So, and what I ended up doing was paint 10 paintings a day for a month, which basically ended up being 300 paintings. Not like complicated ones, just really, really quick ones. And it was practical for me to use watercolor instead of acrylics. So I spent a month painting away lots and lots of rough, really basic watercolor paintings and, you know, learning techniques and stuff, and that got me comfortable in using the medium and realizing that actually watercolor is really fun, and those people that said really hard can just go and shove themselves in their miserable corner, and I'm gonna be glorious and fabulous in painting with watercolors. Next question is, do you believe that watercolor should be medium that beginners should hold off or be a starting medium? Now, I would say that any medium is perfect for you to start as a beginner, as long as you have a lovely teacher that doesn't put you off that medium straight away and knows how to teach a beginner how to have fun in that media. Like, you can worry about techniques and you can worry about theories and you can worry about getting things right way afterwards, right? But when you're a beginner, you're getting into any medium of anything, you should find a teacher that teaches you how joyful it is to be in that medium, because we do this for fun. Nobody is forcing us to do art. So I really want beginners to be able to find a good teacher that teaches you to have fun in that medium. Next question is, when you look at art, what are some of the things that attract you? Color. Color. I'm all into colors, and it's the emotions that are expressed through color that really interest me the most. I really love this next question. If art was an acronym to describe your art style, what would that acronym stand for? I would say abstract, reactionary, and technique based. So I do mostly abstract, and the way I paint is throw loads of paints and see what happens. So that's the reactionary. And then I'm a very technique based person, so I will learn a painting technique and turn that into paintings. So yeah, those are my three. Next question is, what are my thoughts on gouache? I've never actually tried gouache. I'm quite interested in trying gouache. That would be a nice medium to give it a go. However, I'm slightly wary, and I've had conversations with friends about this, in how I really love transparent watercolors, and I don't get on very well with the more opaque watercolors. The way I paint doesn't really work with opaque colors, so they are worried for me that if I try doing gouache, then I really wouldn't like it. It would definitely be a learning from scratch and creating a new style that would work for that particular medium. So for now, I haven't tried them because I'm having so much fun with transparent watercolors, but I would definitely love to give it a go. I watch so many gouache painting videos on YouTube already, so it'll come at some point. Next question is, what watercolor painting techniques frustrates you the most? For this person, apparently it's negative painting, and I agree with you. I tried doing negative painting and it really, my brain doesn't really work the way it needs to do negative painting. So I would like to give it a go again and master it, but for now, yeah, I would agree with you that negative painting is quite hard. I'd love to know who inspires you as an artist and why. Artist that inspires me a ton is Alexander McQueen. I'm not into fashion, but I love the way he just took a very traditional medium and did all the rule breaking and created beautiful things. I went to see the Savage Beauty exhibition at the V&A, and it's still my most favourite exhibition I've ever been to. I don't think I would have ever cried over clothes, but I did, because it's just amazing. Scottish painter wise, I really do like Jalomo and Scott Naismith, because they do Scottish landscapes that are really bright and bold. If I had to pick one ultimate artist that inspired me the most though, it will have to be Van Gogh. I think it's partly because I have bipolar and he was supposedly to have had bipolar, and it really inspires me. His art really moves me. I've cried in so many museums in front of his paintings, particularly the Starry Night at MoMA. I think I just openly wept at that point. But I think MoMA is used to that because the security stuff, like, oh yeah, it's just another person crying in front of the Starry Night. Next question is, who are my favourite people to watch on YouTube? And art-wise, I would say Eve Bolt, there's a surprise. Denise from In Liquid Colour, there's another surprise, yeah. And Shade from Sadie Saves the Day. I really like all three of those channels because they've got really soothing voices and they talk about art in a quite technical way, which I like a lot because I learn so much from them. And I quite often have them running in the background all day long as I paint in my studio. It kind of feels like having like art buddies in a shared studio without all the politics, so that's nice. In terms of non-art YouTube channels, I'm a huge fan of CGP Grey and also his podcast that he does with Brady O'Haran called Hello Internet. If you're a geeky, sciencey, thingy person, then you might enjoy that too. I just love CGP Grey's voice, and I love facts and fast facts coming at me in a soothing, lovely voice. It's just really nice. Next question I have is, do you use paper of less quality for practice or do you use the same paper? As I said before, I have a two-tiered systems in the papers I use. One is a lot cheaper and I use that for most things other than the final pieces, just because I like to experiment a lot and swatch and color mix and try out techniques. So if I had to do that on a more expensive paper, I feel like that would put pressure on me to limit what I'm doing, whereas I want to be able to try everything that I want in as many times as I want until it's ingrained in me. So for me, lifting that money pressure really helps. However, I do kind of art where details don't matter, so that's why I can use the much cheaper paper for everything else. If you are the kind of person that spend hours and hours on the one painting, even days maybe, then I do recommend using the same best quality as you can afford paper, because it's going to give you the least amount of stress and hassle. Is there any mediums that you'd like to try? As I say, gouache at some point. What is my all-time favourite paint? And that would have to be, very, very easily have to be Daniel Smith's Quinacridone Rose. I just love that colour. Closely followed by Daniel Smith's Phthalo Turquoise. Those two are my absolutely favourite colours. The next question is, do you feel that the weather affects your painting? So I've only been painting for 6 months, from October to April, with watercolors so far, which means I've only painted in the winter, the Scottish winter. So I've only experienced paint not drying fast enough more than anything. The good thing about Scotland though is that the weather doesn't get too hot or too dry in the summer, which means I shouldn't have a problem with paint drying too fast. Do you feel you use more paints from dry palette or from straight out of the tube? The normal way I work is that I will pour out some paint onto a palette and let it dry for a day or two and then start painting from that. However, I do sometimes paint from fresh straight out the tube, and for me, this isn't a scientific fact, this is just how I feel. I feel like I use more paint when I'm painting from fresh out the tube, but as I said, it's just a feeling, it's not scientific at all. Maybe that's a video we could do. Where do you want your artwork to head, i.e. florals, animals, natural, portraits, abstract, etc. Now I would say that my art will always hover around the abstractedness of art, because I can draw very academically, but it really tires me out. And I'm trying to learn to listen to my body in my art practice. So if it's something that's very draining, like academic drawing, then I try to avoid doing that. I am trying to sculpt a art practice that works for myself and who I am and what my body wants to do. So it's a lot of listening to my body. It's been kind of a difficult journey because the part there is a part of me that wants to be really good at absolutely everything to do with art, including like accurate drawings and stuff, but you have to listen to your body. You really have to. You know, I'm 38. I'm getting to the point in my life where if I don't start listening to what my body says, I'm gonna get very ill. I mean, I've been ill enough anyway, but if I like do academic drawing and stuff, it just tires me out no end for no reason. And I could spend 10 times the amount of that time in the studio doing some abstract work, and I will feel really good and alive. So I have to listen to that. In terms of subject, I'm open to painting any subjects that will come through the paint for me, but I do in particular like to paint landscape and florals. Florals because it really makes my mom happy when she sees me paint flowers, because she loves flowers. And you know, what child doesn't want to make their mom happy if they can do it in such a simple way? How do I approach making art easy? Thank you for noticing that that's my slogan for the channel, and it's something that I really want to work towards in creating content for making art easy. But my basic philosophy in making my art easy is letting go of shoulds, removing negativity and negative teachers, listening to my body in terms of what my body wants to create, and also being able to make informed decisions in art. So this is where the Daniel Smith Colour Showdown came from, and this is where I do a lot of experimenting, is because I want to be able to make creative decisions based on facts and experiments and knowing what it actually is. There's a lot of guesswork in art, and I don't like guesswork. I'm a fully trained scientist, and I bring that approach to this channel, I hope. I want to be able to help you make informed decisions in terms of, say, like what colour you want to buy, because watercolors are expensive and I don't want you to waste your money on colours that might not work for you. And when it's the right paint, I want you to be able to buy it with confidence, and that is the same for techniques. So with the gauzing thing, I'm investigating a lot into that so that you get to make informed choices based on experiments and empirical data, rather than, oh, this might work or might not. Do you have any problem with colours popping out of the palette? Not yet, so far. I use mostly Holbein and Daniel Smith, and I've never had a problem with colours popping out, although popping out Holbeins out of a palette when you have to move is such a joyful experience. You can just like go, and it's like so much fun. Same with Daniel Smith. The only paints I have had a problem in a palette, and it's actually the opposite problem, is that the Schmincke Phthalo Green, once you palette it, it's not gonna move. It sets solid and it won't peel off, which means you have to just wash it all out. So now I'm in the process of finding a new Phthalo Green for my palette that won't concrete itself onto the palette. If you wish to change one of the colors in your palette, yes, like all the time, I'm constantly changing what sits in my palette. I am in the process of, this was my transparent palette, and I'm in the process of changing it, and what I've been doing is popping out the colors that I haven't really been using and see how I get on without those colors to see if I really need them. I've spent like the last 3 weeks coming up with the next perfect palette. I admire people that like have like a 12 color set and they always use that, but I don't think that will ever be me, because for me, part of the joy of enjoying watercolor is that there's so many different possibilities, mostly enabled by Daniel Smith. And I enjoy it, so yeah, why not try lots of different colors and see what happens with all of them. Next question is, do I have a travel palette setup? And the answer is no. I used to have a travel palette kit until I realized that I am an extreme introvert to the point there's no way I am going to start sketching and painting out in the public around people and attracting more attention than I need to, because as soon as you open that sketchbook, people hover around you. They try to do it subtly, as if you're not going to notice them hovering right behind you and looking at you. So I'm not comfortable in doing that out in public. So what I do instead is take lots of photos out for me to paint later back in the studio. How do you push yourself to create when you don't know which direction to go? My advice is, when you don't know what your directions is, then take some courses, take some classes, or watch some tutorials on YouTube until something really piques your interest, and then give that a go. Next question is, are you an UK expat or were you born, raised in the UK? Your accent sounds blended and awesome. Thank you very much. I was actually born in Japan to a Japanese parents and Japanese families, and I was fully Japanese. And then I came over to the UK when I was 10. I actually went to a boarding school, and I've moved around a lot in the UK since. I've actually started right from the bottom, right at the south, and I'm gradually making my way up north. And so my accent is a little bit all over the place, and it changes a lot. So say I go back to one of the places I used to live in to visit my friends there, then I come back and I will have a really strong twang from that area. I really like this next question. So this question is, if you were to create the worst possible palette for you, which colors would you pick and why? Oh, okay. I think it will be full of earthy colors, really heavily opaque colors, and pastel-y colors. Not that bothered about granulation. I'm starting to like granulation a lot actually, so that doesn't bother me, but opaqueness, like paleness and earth tones are probably my... Oh, I'm just like, just thinking about it, just think about it is making me stress out a bit. Yes, those will be my worst palette, and please don't ever make me create that. The next question is, where did I study art? I am actually a self-taught artist, so I haven't gone to any art school. I did try a couple of courses in an art school, and after the first class in each of them I had to give up because it was just not agreeing with the way I like to work. And since then I have just been teaching myself how to make art and doing lots and lots and lots of online courses and classes. I will be doing a video on the art classes and courses online that has really worked for me and I really liked at some point very soon. Next question is, have I ever tried any other medium, and is watercolor my favourite? And the answer is yes, I have tried other mediums. I've tried acrylic. I also really like charcoal drawing and ink drawing and things. I can't try oil just because the smell is really strong to me and it gives me a migraine. So oil's no go, but otherwise I have tried quite a few mediums and I am open to trying others. But I think, yeah, watercolor would be my favorite. I just love watercolor. I'm obsessed by it in a way that I wasn't obsessed with any other medium. And you guys asked some really tough questions. Suppose you were forced to abandon all your art supplies and were only allowed 5 of them. Which one would you keep? Oh my goodness. Do you mean 5 colors or just like 5 of anything? Because, like, okay, let's do the harder one and do 5 out of everything, but I obviously need paper. This is really hard. Okay, paper, a 1.5 inch brush, a size 10, and 5. No, hang on, I can live without... Okay, no, let's start this. Paper, a size 12 round brush, because it's more versatile, and 3 watercolors of cyan, yellow and magenta combination, I think would have to be it. Do we like quinacridone rose, a phthalo blue yellow shade, and a probably an Aurelian or Windsor lemon kind of yellow. That's really hard, guys. Do I use fountain pens? If you use, what is your favourite fountain pen? I do use fountain pen, but just for writing, not for drawing. And my favourite fountain pen is a Mont Blanc pen with a broad nib that my mother bought me as a wedding present. Do I listen to background music when I paint and draw? Yes, I have a painting playlist of like really dancey, energetic, poppy music that I like to listen to because I like to put movements in my painting. I also like to have like YouTube videos and live streams of other artists creating, mostly of the three artist YouTube channels I mentioned before of Eve, Denise and Shadi. So if you guys see a huge spike in UK viewing, that is me. Are you ever planning to do commission work? And the answer sadly is no, mostly because I'm really bad at being told what to do. Like, I'm like clinically bad at being told what I should do. It's a huge stress for me, and I try to keep my creative practice to be as stressless as possible and work in a way that agrees with me. And I know that if I start taking commissions, that will be a huge stress. So no, I won't be taking any commissions. Next question is, are you ever planning on traveling to other places to explore? And the answer is, I kind of feel like I already have. I've traveled a lot in my life anyway, but also my husband and I went traveling for 3 years with like year and a half solid on the road, and we basically visited all the cities we wanted to visit. So now I feel like when we go traveling is to see friends in different countries. Next question is, do I prefer tea or coffee? And I would say coffee, but I do like very specific teas. In particular, I really like the brand Pickwick, which is a real shame because they're really expensive in the UK. So if anyone is out there in Sweden or any other places where you can get hold of them easily and cheaply, please think of me when you're buying one, because you guys have amazing tea. I particularly love the Pickwick Winter Glow tea. It's just so delicious, and I hoard by them. Next question is, if I had one power, what would it be? Ooh, probably the power to like remove the word should from the English language and every other language. I feel like the word should puts us in really bad mental spaces, like negative ones, and some obligations we should keep, but that's like a small fraction compared to what we tell ourselves we should be doing, that we don't actually really need to be. So I think it's a heavily guilt-laden word that we don't need. The next question is there a language I'd like to learn? And yes, that would be Italian. I already speak Japanese and English fluently, and my mom always laughs at me because I can speak a little bit of Spanish, and she feels that I should capitalize on that because obviously Spanish is spoken in many other places other than just Spain, whereas Italian is only spoken basically in Italy. But I just really love the roundness of the language and the passion that's in the language, so I would love to learn Italian if I can. Next question is, if you will have a 3-color palette from Holbein, what would it be? Ooh, it has to be within the cyan, magenta and yellow color range. So one of my favorite ever Holbein color is this Pyrorubin. I don't know if you, come on, you can do this. Nope, the camera can't do it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous red, and it's also a single pigment for people who are looking for single pigments, and it's a gorgeous red. So I would probably pick Pyrorubin for the red. The blue will be a phthalo blue yellow shade, and then the yellow will be Aurelian. Now this Aurelian is a light fast Aurelian because it's Aurelian hue. So these 3 would probably be my, wow, it's really playing havoc with the light. There we go. There we go. These 3 will be my 3-color palette from Holbein. See myself in 1 year and 5 years time. Well, in 1 year, as everyone knows, my big goal for this year is to try and get this channel monetized, which basically means 1,000 views, which we already made it, and then to have 4,000 hours of view time over a 12-month period. And so far we hit 1,000 hours last week, so I think we're gonna do it, guys. I think we'll make it there. So every minute you spend watching my videos on this channel would really help towards that goal. So in a year time, I'm hoping that this channel will be monetized, which means I can dedicate more time and more money and more resources to creating better videos for you guys. And my ultimate goal is to earn a living from creating art and also from creating YouTube content for you guys. And so in the next few coming months, you will see new things popping up like Patreon and Etsy shop and things that will hopefully build towards that goal. How do you describe your art style? And I would say mine is experimental, technique based and abstract. And the follow-up question to that is, do you think it's important for an artist to have a particular style? If you can create the same kind of painting consistently so that when somebody sees your painting they know it's your painting, then that makes you more marketable. However, this was a pressure that I put on myself too. I really struggled with it because I was like, I need to stick to one style, I need to stick to one style, but I couldn't because I was so interested in so many things. And so one day I decided to just relieve that goal off me, certainly for now, so that I am free to explore instead of forcing myself into a corner. My answer is yes, I think it makes you more marketable, but as a creative practice, I don't think you need to force yourself into a style straight away. You know, have fun exploring lots and lots and lots first. And this person said that they struggle to find their own style and they just create what feels good and right for me at the moment. And I agree with you, that's what I do. Good, what feels right for me at the time, and then change. That's what series are for. I use that to, you know, I use a series to really explore with the thing that's working for me right now, and when that's not working anymore, I move on and I'll do another series that is about a completely different thing. And then as I do more and more series, I start to see connection between them that people will probably start calling it my style. But really, I'm not really focused on finding a style anymore. I'm just focused on, ooh, this is really interesting to me, I am going to explore that. How are you applying your color studies to your current painting practice? Which of your exercises did you find the most valuable? So for those of you who hasn't checked out my sketchbook flip through, there is a big section in my flip through that is about color studies and like all the different color combinations. And the way I use that is I went through the whole color wheel and all the combinations and went, oh, I actually like this and this and this. And I used that exercise to create a series called Sanshoku, which was based on the 3 colors I like the most together. I think it was Quinacridone Rose, Phthalo Turquoise and Permanent Green #1. I think out of all the color theories that I've tried in the past, 2 has been most interesting. One is mixing colors and learning about the color wheel, so that I learned how to control shades and how to neutralize and think. That has been incredibly useful as a watercolor artist. And then also the painting out all the possible combinations of like triads and complementaries and all those combinations, because then I could see what color combinations I like the most. Next question is it just me or do other people think you sound like Emma Thompson? Wow, thank you very much, but I don't think I do. But it's very flattering, thank you. The next question is, have you ever tried painting with poster paint? Yes, I have. When I was in Japan last time, I picked up a few because they're really cheap over there, and it's like very cheap gouache type paint, and it's usually not very light fast or anything, so I would say it's not a professional art material. It's fun, they have really fun colors, so I enjoyed playing with them. But because I like transparency in my watercolor, it really wasn't a paint that I was going to stick with. A self-taught artist, or did I go to an art school? And as I said before, I am a self-taught artist, but I wanted to bring this question up again because I feel slightly weird calling myself self-taught. I feel more like I am a self-guided artist rather than self-taught, because I don't really teach myself all that much. I'm just in charge of guiding myself to find right teachers and the right content and the right courses and learning from them. So self-taught, I don't feel like I'm self-taught artist, but more self-guided. What keeps me motivated to paint? And that is mostly paints, beautiful colors, beautiful paints, and I just want to use them. and that keeps me motivated. It's seeing colour gives me energy, so it is a huge part of my well-being just to even play with colours. And I do give myself permission to just paint colours if I don't feel like painting anything, and see where it goes. So I'm just going to try and find. So the other day I didn't feel like painting. We just did the move and I was exhausted, so I didn't have energy to do a painting. But I just sat there and painted like just a page of blue. This is down from Penholder Arts Ultramarine Blue. If I haven't ranted enough about how beautiful this paint is, it's just so beautiful that I could just paint. And yeah, so I do give myself permission to do things like this. This is the cobalt blue hue from Holbein, and that just gives me energy seeing these bright colours. In terms of creating final pieces and stuff, the way I paint isn't I'm gonna paint this exact painting and then trying to get my way to there. It's more like I want to try this technique, I'm gonna see what shows up on the paper and see if I can make it into a final piece. So the act of throwing paint on the paper really motivates me to create something from them. What is my top 3 least used art supplies that I have purchased? Wax crayons, pastels and colouring pencils. I have them, but I don't use them very much at all. I'm not very good with dry mediums. I'm much better with wet mediums, and particularly water-based mediums. So I don't really know what to do with dry mediums at all. Okay, so many people ask me this question and it's been really hard to choose. And the question is, like, if I have to pick one paint colour forever to use, and I couldn't use... See, I can't even say the question. The question is, if you could only paint with one paint colour, what colour would it be? And instinctively I want to say quinacridone rose because it's my favourite colour. You know, it's just such a beautiful, beautiful colour. However, this doesn't have that much of a range in terms of value. So I would probably have to pick like an indigo, which has a far wider value in intensity so that I can have more layers and expression and things. Like, part of me wants to say Dan's Ultramarine Blue because it's just such a beautiful colour and I'm just completely obsessed by it. But because Ultramarine Blue lifts, it's harder to layer and I think that would get frustrating. So yeah, I would pick something like an indigo, which can be layered really well and has a wide range of values so that, you know, you can express more in like layers. And I do like indigo. Indigo is a very fundamental color in Japanese culture. We have a lot of indigo, so I'm very comfortable with it. It's very soft, kind color to me. So if I had to pick one color to paint forever, the logical part of me, the practical part of me, would have to pick the indigo. But still, can I pick two? Can I just have these two, please? Ooh, a really good question. If you could only pick one place on earth to travel to for inspiration, where would it be? Oh, that's hard. That's really hard. Straight off, I want to say Italy because I just find Italy beautiful. But inspiration-wise for my art, I love the Scottish Highlands. So yeah, I think Scottish Highlands. But if I could, yeah, I think Scottish Highlands. Have you ever tried using other watercolor medium like watercolor pencils or crayons? Yes, I have, and I do really like them. Despite not liking wax crayons and pastels and and coloring pencils, I actually really do enjoy using watercolor or like water soluble versions of them. They're great fun to use with watercolor, and yeah, they're really good fun. Next question is, what do you think about the Sennelier and White Nights watercolors? So I do have a full set of Senneliers, but they're not my favorite just because of the way I work. However, if you are really into botanical paintings, they are the best brand I hear for botanical paintings. I think each brand is good for a particular thing, and we as the consumer have to learn to pick what is good for what. So Sennelier is really good for botanical painters. Holbein is really good for illustrators that like flat controllable colors, and like manga creators as well. Daniel Smith for all the jazzy colors in the world. So yeah, I think it's just about educating ourselves on what brand is good for what particular kind of painting styles you have. I have answered a few questions about watercolor paper, but this is for a particular purpose, and that is, what watercolor paper do you like to use? One that withstands multiple washes and lots of water. I do the same. I use a lot of washes and stuff, and I recommend getting as heavy weight paper as you can afford. So I use a Buckingford 535 GSM, and that's pretty good. You can go up to like 600 GSM and even thicker, but obviously the thicker paper you go, the more expensive it is, so I would just go for the thickest paper you can afford to have in your practice. So with the Buckingford 535, it does kind of warp a bit, but you don't get that buckling that you get with a 300 GSM or 140-pound paper, and I really like using that for big piece painting, for big really wet washes and stuff. Next question is, if you could go back in time, would you still become an artist? And the answer is yes, because creating art is one thing that really agrees with my body and my health and my well-being. And so I hope that if I had to live my life all over again, I will end up becoming an artist. However, I would also do all the other things that I did before I got to becoming an artist, because I really enjoy having that scientific approach to my art practice. Next question is, did you have any insecurities in the beginning about your paintings? And if so, how did you get over them? Yes, I think we all do. How do you get over them? In some ways, I don't think we do get over having insecurities. I think that's part of human nature. There are a few things you can do to make things better. One is to surround yourself with supportive people that know how to give you critique in a way that is meaningful to you and not damaging to you. There are a whole lot of people that will give you critique for your art, which is actually their insecurities coming through at you more than anything you need to change about yourself and your art. And they're just like a hurricane that comes through and hurt people with their insecurities instead of helping them. So I would definitely avoid those kind of people and surround yourself with people who are supportive, and when you ask for a critique, they know how to give you one that isn't damaging to your creativity. Also, the other thing is to just paint more and more. That is the one way to feel more and more confident about you as an artist and confident about your art style and all those things. Basically, there isn't a problem in art that cannot be solved by painting more and more. Next question is, have I ever been to the US? And if so, what do I think of the weather compared to the UK? Yes, we have. I think we spent a total of 2.5 months in the United States when we went traveling around the world. And we spent several weeks in New York and also in Seattle, and in between we spent 3 weeks camping across from New York to San Francisco, all the way across coast to coast, and that was, I would say, the highlight of our traveling. But you guys have some insane weather, like the clouds and the storms and the hailstorms in the middle of summer and the thunderstorms. It was beautiful. But wow, you have some crazy weather that we definitely don't have in the UK. Next question is, how do I motivate myself to paint when I am sick? Now, I think I'm going to make a longer video because I think this is a subject that really does deserve a lot more than just a quick answer. But I don't give myself the pressure to paint final pieces when I'm feeling sick, and just work with the energy level I do have. So I have lots of little things that I can do, like swatching and practicing mixing different colors and stuff, that I can just spend 5 minutes in the studio doing if I'm feeling really terrible. I once did a artist talk at a show I was exhibiting in, and that talk was shared with another artist who was also exhibiting, and this exhibition was about mental health and about having mental illnesses. And she said that having mental illnesses and having chronic illnesses is a full-time job, and that really changed the way I pressure myself into trying to hold it together with everything else, as well as being ill, as well as having mental health issues. So now I just work with the energy level I have and adjust my creative practice to suit that instead of the other way around. So if you are ill and struggling to create big paintings or really detailed paintings, then I would try looking into seeing what can you do with the energy you have, because doing some art, maybe like doing little sketches, or just even like me doing some doodling and swatching, is better than not creating at all. And when we pressure ourselves to do bigger things when we're not ready, then we just end up doing nothing, and that's no fun for anybody. So try figuring out what you can do that is fun for you with the amount of energy you do have. Am I a full-time artist, and if so, do I sell my artwork? Yes, I have a website that sells my art. It's watercolors.com, and I'm also in the process of opening an Etsy shop, and the Etsy shop is going to be more strongly linked with this YouTube channel. I want to create products that will make your creative art practice easier. So probably in the next month or so I will be opening my Etsy shop with a few products that hopefully you will like. Next question is, how long does it take you to put a palette together, and do you have a different one for different types of art? The answer is forever and ongoing. Honestly, it's a constant process. I am always fiddling with my palette and never being quite happy with it, and always designing new palette. And I think that's part of the fun of being a watercolor artist, is that we get this unit of area and numbers that we get to play around all sorts of infinite possibilities with. And to the question of do I have different palettes for different things, I have so many palettes. Maybe if you want to see my palette collection, I will do a video for you. Let me know down below if you are interested in seeing that. Next question is, how do I deal with self-doubt in my creative practice? And the main thing I do is to design the way I create art to basically remove as much responsibility off my shoulder as possible. And by that I mean I use a technique-based approach, so that I am practicing techniques and different ways of using watercolor and seeing what happens. So I put the responsibility of the creating of the art mostly on the material, and so I make some creative decisions before I start painting, like what colors, what size, what style, what techniques I'm going to use. And then once the foundation is laid with the techniques, then it's my job to see a final piece and move the painting towards being a polished piece of artwork. However, the middle process of getting the paint onto the paper, I try to leave that to chance as much as possible, so that, because that's where my self-doubt comes out the most. And if I remove that, the creative process for me is much easier. The next question is your family really supportive of your art and goals? And the answer is yes, definitely, absolutely, and I'm very grateful for it. The two people that matter to me the most in my life, my mother and my husband, are both incredibly supportive. I think they definitely believe in my art more than I do. And I mean, like, my husband has given me a whole room in a little 2-bed apartment to be my studio, and my mom is incredible. She sends me paints that she thinks I might like, or links to artists that I might be interested in. So yeah, I am very, very lucky in that. Have I ever used one of those metal palettes that have half pans and full pans, because they are so much easier to rearrange, since I'm constantly rearranging my paints? Yes, I have, and yes, they are really easy to rearrange. However, my problem is these and these. This is a 2-inch brush, this is a 1/2 inch brush, this is a size 20, and I use like the 1.5 inch a lot. Like most of my backgrounds start off with this paint, and even the full pans don't fit. I'm actually even having problems with a standard palette, like the plastic palette that I've made the transparent palette from, because even they don't really fit this and it's not comfortable. So I'm looking for palettes with much bigger wells that can at least fit 1.5 inches, ideally 2 inches, but you know, 1.5 inches. And that is really the only reason why I don't use the metal boxes, because my paintbrushes don't fit them. Okay, I know I haven't answered all your questions, but I think this video is going to be long enough as it is. So I'm going to save the other questions for another Q&A session, if that's okay with you guys. And I'm really sorry if I didn't get to answer your questions, but I'm pretty sure you guys are also dying to know who won this beautiful palette. That was the giveaway prize. So I think we should get on with picking a winner. Now what I'm going to do is get the random number generator and just count the number of comments to that number that the generator picks. The random number generator has picked Ashley Cruz as the winner of this transparent palette. Why can I not say the word palette? So congratulations to Ashley, and I will get in touch with you about getting your postal address so I can send this to you. Thank everyone so much for all your kind comments about this channel gaining 1,000 subscribers and all your lovely supporting words. It really keeps me going, especially in the last few months where I've been ill. It has really kept me motivated to create more and more content for you guys, because you guys are just so wonderful. I am so touched by how kind and generous and supportive you guys have all been. I will be doing more Q&A sessions in the future, so don't think your questions has been wasted, and some of them will be turning into videos. So thank you so much for every single one of your questions. You guys have asked really interesting, amazing questions, and that I hope this video was fun for you guys to watch me answer some of those questions. If you enjoyed watching this video, then please give it a thumbs up, because it really helps with the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel, then please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you won't miss a video coming from this channel. And thank you so much. It's amazing that we have reached 1,000. It's actually now like 1,200 subscribers, which is amazing. So thank you so much to absolutely everyone that has subscribed to this channel and have watched my videos, because it really helps the channel grow, and which means I can create more and more content for you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!